Heartwarming moment. A cleaning lady's touching bubble trick transforms a boy's day and reveals the power of kindness. Ethan sat on the cold metal bench, the sun casting golden rays over the local community center. Yet his heart felt heavy, like a sack of stones. At just 12, he found himself wrestling with feelings that sometimes seemed much older than he was. The bullies at school liked to zero in on his worn shoes and ragged clothes, taunting him mercilessly. With a single mother working long hours at the diner, money was tight. Ethan had learned not to ask for much, always wishing to keep his mother from worrying, while still feeling the weight of the world on his young shoulders. He absent-mindedly kicked the dirt beneath the bench. He knew this event was supposed to be a chance for fun. Instead, he felt lost in a sea of cheerful families. Just as he thought the day might slip away quietly, a cheerful voice broke through his thoughts. "What's a lonely boy like you doing here all by yourself?" He looked up, startled. Alice, the community center's cleaning lady, crouched beside him, her smile brightening the dull afternoon. She produced an old bottle of bubble solution from her apron pocket and, with a flick of her wrist, created an enchanting swirl of shimmering bubbles that floated in the sun. Ethan's eyes widened. Laughter bubbled up from the children around him, their faces illuminated with sheer joy and wonder. Alice continued her trick, pretending to chase the bubbles, her laughter infectious. This once lonely moment transformed into a spontaneous performance, drawing a crowd of wide-eyed children who clapped gleefully. Ethan could hardly remember the last time he had felt so light. "Wow, that is amazing," he managed to say, a grin breaking across his face. As the bubbles danced away, so did the lingering sadness that had followed him for far too long. Alice, catching Ethan's gaze, sat down beside him. "You know," she said, a sincerity in her voice that caught his attention, "I didn't always have it easy. After serving in the military, I faced my own battles." Her eyes sparkled with stories untold, and she spoke of resilience. It stirred something in him, an urge to embrace the artistic dreams he had kept buried under the weight of judgment and fear. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Ethan's laughter began to intertwine with Alice's encouragement. Slowly, word spread about the budding artist, the boy who could paint dreams onto canvases with colors as vibrant as his spirit. The community rallied around him, breaking through the barriers of social prejudice, as the very bullies who had once tormented him saw a light in him they had never recognized. Finally, the neighborhood organized a community art exhibition to celebrate Ethan and honor Alice's kindness. It was a moment of transition, and for the first time, Ethan felt not just acceptable, but cherished. All the familiar faces gathered, but as the event progressed, so did the tension in the air. Would those who had once tormented him confront their past actions? Could forgiveness blossom amid the shadows of their shared history? Ethan stood before the crowd, pulse racing, heart pounding. Just as the words froze in his throat, a voice called out, leaving the room breathless. "But what if they don't accept you?" The weight of that question hung like a cloud overhead, reminding him that transformation comes with its own challenges, leaving everyone on edge, eager for what would unfold next. The meaning of forgiveness. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. The voice rang out from the back of the room, breaking through the hopeful atmosphere like glass shattering. He could almost pinpoint the daring boy who spoke, the same boy who had made fun of his shoes not long ago. What if they don't accept you? That question echoed in Ethan's mind. He glanced around the room, where faces shifted from smiles to frowns, tension spiraling like a wayward balloon. Were they all thinking the same thing? He felt his cheeks redden as he wrestled with fear, battling between the hope Alice had sparked in him and the strain of old memories that clung like shadows. Alice noticed the change in his expression. She stood up, her presence commanding, her voice gentle yet firm. "Every person here has a story," she began, her gaze sweeping over the crowd. "Some of those stories may be filled with hurt, while others with joy. But it's important to remember that every single one of us has the power to change. With every new day, we get a fresh start." The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Those who had once bullied Ethan shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting around as if searching for what to say next. Ethan took a deep breath. He could feel the warmth of Alice's words surrounding him, giving him courage. Maybe, just maybe, he could find his voice amidst the uncertainty. "I've been where you are," he finally said, his voice shaky but growing stronger with each word. "I've felt alone and scared. But I also believe that kindness can change everything. Everyone deserves a second chance to be better." The air crackled with a mix of surprise and admiration. He could see some kids exchanging glances, the initial shock transforming into something softer as they pondered his words. Slowly, Ethan felt his own heart open a little wider, the fear melting away like ice at the first touch of spring. In the back, a girl raised her hand. "I'm sorry for being mean," she said, her voice small but audible. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I guess I was just trying to fit in." A ripple of murmurs swept through the audience. Others began to nod, some even offering their own apologies. For every heart-wrenching story shared, a piece of the old barriers began to crumble. Ethan felt a surge of hope. Could forgiveness truly bloom like this? Then, amid the revelations, the unexpected happened. The boy who had shouted from the back stepped forward, his bravado faltering. "I messed up, okay? I made fun of you because I was jealous. I wanted what you have the courage to stand up and be yourself. Can we start over?" Ethan blinked, startled. Was this real? The boy's genuine regret hung in the air like a fragile thread, waiting for Ethan to grasp it. Could he really take that leap? A new wave of emotion coursed through the room. The anticipation felt electric, charged with the possibility of connection and redemption. Ethan's breath hitched as he stood there, looking into the eyes of those who had caused him pain, now open to healing. "Let us start over," he finally breathed. Then he smiled, a bright, unwavering smile that seemed to light up the entire exhibition. As he looked around, hope flickered anew, not just for himself, but for everyone. As the room erupted into a chorus of support, Ethan couldn't help but think about how far they'd all come. But in the midst of the joy, another voice chimed in, fiery with determination. "But what if forgiveness isn't enough? What happens when the past fights back?" The tone shifted once again, leaving Ethan and the crowd suspended in uncertainty, teetering on the edge of the next big challenge. Ethan felt a cold shiver creep up his spine at the new voice. He scanned the room again, searching for the source of that doubt. It was a girl, her brow furrowed in concern. Her vulnerability echoed the struggle many felt, hovering on the edges of hope but mired in the weight of past hurts. "Will we really forget what happened?" she pressed, her voice trembling slightly. The weight of her words hung heavily in the air, and it was clear she wasn't the only one grappling with the idea of moving on. A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembled crowd, and Ethan suddenly found himself on the front lines of a deeper battle, one that resonated with every soul present. Alice stepped forward again. "Forgiveness isn't about forgetting," she said softly, inviting silence. "It's about choosing to heal. It's about understanding that we all come from different places, and instead of letting our past define us, we can let it teach us." Ethan nodded, feeling a flutter of hope. Alice's words were like a lighthouse in a stormy sea, guiding him toward possibility. He took a step closer to the crowd and spoke again. "None of us are perfect. We've all stumbled. But we get to decide how we respond to those stumbles. Even if the shadows of the past linger, we have the power to rewrite our stories." The crowd seemed to consider his words, hearts opening like flowers reaching for sunlight. But then another voice spoke, laced with skepticism. "What if we really hurt someone and can't fix it? What if they can't forgive ever?" Shockwaves of fear rippled through the crowd. Ethan bit his lip, feeling the ache of that truth settle over him like a heavy blanket. They all knew the scars that couldn't be erased. He looked at the faces around him, searching for courage within himself and those gathered. I think there's strength in vulnerability, Ethan began, his voice steadying. It's okay to be scared. Acceptance is a process. Sometimes it takes time. But choosing to forgive means we're willing to walk that path together, even when it's hard. Slowly, a boy from the back raised his hand, an unexpected twist amid the tension. What if we just take one step at a time? Like trying to be nice today and then trying again tomorrow? He seemed shy, but the sincerity behind his idea sparked a sense of hope. Ethan smiled. Exactly. We rebuild connections step by step. Every little moment counts. As he spoke, he could feel the energy in the room shift. The heaviness lifted, replaced with the lightness of shared understanding. People began to share their own intentions for change. A girl voiced her commitment to reaching out to classmates she clashed with. Another declared to stand up for those who were bullied, having realized the pain caused. Support erupted, a wave of determination washing through the audience as they united under the banner of fresh beginnings. Then, it hit him. The boy who initially challenged everything stood up again, eyes shining. Can I try something? He asked, a new confidence simmering beneath the surface. Ethan nodded, curious about where this would lead. The boy took a deep breath and said, "Let us have a kindness challenge. We can pick one person this week to do something nice for, even if it's small. It could change everything." Excitement buzzed in the room. The idea caught on like wildfire, faces lighting up with possibilities. Ethan felt the swell of his heart again, grateful for this newfound energy that sparked between them all. But as ideas flowed and promises were made, a nagging thought lingered in the back of Ethan's mind. What if this all fell apart? Could they really sustain this momentum? And just then, someone asked, what happens when the world tries to pull us back to old habits? Are we strong enough to fight? Ethan's gaze met Alice's. They both understood real change would bring challenges that tested each of them. How would they face the storms ahead? The air thickened with anticipation as their laughter echoed softly, and the uncertainty loomed large. One thing was clear, they were on the brink of a transformation, but the journey ahead might not be as straightforward as they hoped. Ethan sensed that the real story was only just beginning, and he felt a rush of determination to see it through, no matter what awaited them. Ethan stood at the center of the gathering, the energy buzzing around him like a live wire. Excitement mixed with uncertainty danced in the air. As the crowd started to break into smaller groups to discuss the kindness challenge, Ethan's heart pounded louder. He couldn't shake that persistent worry creeping in from the edges of his mind. What if their shared commitment slipped away? He glanced over at Alice, who was deep in conversation with a few girls nearby. Her ability to connect with others was magnetic. She had a way of making people feel seen and understood. Ethan wished he had a fraction of that talent, but feeling at the edge of confidence, he took a breath and stepped away to talk to others. He approached the shy boy who had proposed the kindness challenge. "Hey, great idea," Ethan said, a wide smile spreading across his face. "What is your plan for your first act of kindness?" The boy's cheeks flushed pink, the shyness evident. I was thinking, maybe I could help my neighbor with her groceries. She's always so busy, and I'm sure it would mean a lot to her." That's perfect. It's simple but heartfelt. Ethan felt a surge of encouragement swell within him. He sensed they were forming a genuine community, one where gestures mattered, no matter how small. As the buzz of conversation filled the room, fragments of shared intentions surrounded him. A girl named Sophia excitedly declared her plan to sit with the quieter kids at lunch, while another student committed to inviting someone new to play basketball. The energy grew warmer as hands raised one after the other to share their ideas. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the side of the room. A janitor, somewhere in his 50s, shuffled in, his tired eyes scanning the throng of students. Ethan recognized him as Mr. Parker, but most of the kids overlooked his presence. It was easy to forget those cleaning up behind the scenes. Mr. Parker paused as he saw Ethan. "Sorry to interrupt, but I was just taking a break. What is happening here?" He wiped his hands on his worn-out jumpsuit, his gruff exterior softened by curiosity. Ethan's heart whispered a new thought. We're talking about kindness. We're planning small acts to help each other out." At that moment, Mr. Parker's face cracked into a genuine smile. "Sounds like a beautiful idea. You all bring a lot of energy." Encouraged, Ethan boldly asked, "Can we ask you to join us? Maybe you could share a story about kindness that has impacted you?" Mr. Parker hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I got a story or two, you'd be surprised. Sometimes the smallest gestures mean the most." As he spoke, the room quieted down, captivated by his tales of unexpected kindness from students he had known over the years. Ethan felt tensions ease, walls dissolving as laughter mingled with the warmth of heartfelt stories. Just then, a whimsical idea struck Ethan. "Mr. Parker, how about a kindness challenge involving you too? You could share one kind act that you've experienced every week, and we could try to mirror it." The suggestion rippled through the crowd, intrigue sparkling in many pairs of eyes. Mr. Parker chuckled, taken aback by the idea. "You know, I think I'd like that." High-energy chatter erupted again as students began to discuss what challenges they could tackle together. Each laugh and eager voice contributed to the growing sense of unity that filled the room. But as Ethan felt a shift toward something hopeful, he couldn't ignore the nagging question, still perched in his mind. What if their plans brought them face to face with the very past they were trying to move away from? Would their enthusiasm withstand the pressure of old habits creeping back? His heart raced, a mix of excitement and trepidation swirling inside. He looked around at their budding community, uncertain yet hopeful. As the conversations intensified, a single thought echoed. Would they bind together when it truly mattered, or falter when faced with challenges ahead? Ethan's gaze locked with Alice's again. In that moment, they shared an unspoken understanding, a hint of fear and determination coursing between them. The real test was just starting, and it was still anyone's game. What kind of heartache or joy awaited them on this journey? Ethan's thoughts were swirling when Alice suddenly moved to stand beside him, pulling him from the fog of his worries. She nudged him playfully. "What are you thinking about over here? You look like you're on a deep dive." He chuckled nervously, trying to shake off the heaviness. "Just wondering if all this will actually work, you know?" He gestured to the lively group where students eagerly exchanged ideas, laughter filling the air. "Feels great now, but will it last?" Alice considered this, her gaze focused on the crowd. "We can make it last. It's about us sticking together and being there for each other." Her smile radiated encouragement, lighting up the dim corners of doubt in his mind. "Let us keep it going." Just then, the chatter shifted tones, light laughter morphing into cheers. A couple of students had decided to stage a spontaneous bubble-making contest in one corner of the room. Colorful soap bubbles floated into the air, dancing like tiny rainbows under the harsh fluorescent lights. The sheer joy was contagious. Ethan felt a thrill run through him. He turned to Alice, eyes bright. "We should all try it. How much fun would it be to incorporate something silly like this into the kindness challenge?" "Yes!" Bubbles could symbolize joy, a way to show kindness through fun. Alice's excitement was palpable, and soon enough, they were both rallying their peers to join in the bubble contest. As students lined up, the air was filled with shrieking delight, the sounds of children immersing themselves in the simple pleasure. Mr. Parker chuckled at their antics, watching with a grin. Ethan's heart warmed at the sight. The bubbles, like floating reminders of innocence and laughter, seemed to lift the weight off the room. Someone called Ethan over. "You've got to try this." A boy extended a bubble wand toward him, and with a playful twist, Ethan dipped it into the soapy mixture. He waited a moment, then blew. A magnificent bubble floated from the wand, growing and dancing before popping gently against Alice's cheek. The group erupted in laughter, and Ethan felt a single tear of pure joy slip from the corner of his eye, feeling the tension of his earlier doubts slip away. "See? A little kindness, a little fun," Alice said, nudging him gently with her shoulder. "It works." But just as the laughter rang louder, Ethan noticed something shift in the crowd. A few students, standing apart, exchanged hesitant glances. They seemed unsure, maybe even uncomfortable with all the joy surrounding them. Ethan's heart sank. What if their attempts weren't reaching everyone? Hey, Alice, he said quietly, a lump forming in his throat. What about those who don't feel included? She followed his gaze, her smile dimming slightly. You're right. We can't forget about them. Her voice was softer now, and the excitement in the air felt fragile. Typically, this would be the moment for a simple plan or an uplifting speech. But instead, something within Ethan stirred. Let us invite them over. Everyone deserves to feel included, no matter what. Alice nodded, determination sparking in her eyes. They approached the sideline students, their energy still keen to invite others in. Hey, come join us. We're making bubbles, and it's a blast. Ethan's voice rang out, warm and sincere. Slowly, the hesitant students made their way forward, and as bubbles erupted around them, Ethan felt a nervous hope blooming in his chest. This was it. This was what community felt like. As laughter erupted once more, Ethan caught a glimpse of Alice catching a bubble. The infectious giggles, once merely fleeting, surging into something deeper as he realized, it wasn't just about the challenges anymore. It was about reaching out and connecting, even on the edges where some felt invisible, but with the joy came a new question gnawing at him. Would this fleeting moment of unity hold strong against the currents of doubt and isolation that might pull them apart? The sun began to set outside, casting golden light into the room through the high windows. Ethan found himself searching Alice's gaze again, knowing that, whatever lay ahead, discovering their strength as a community would be a journey, and he wasn't sure how it would end. What struggles and revelations awaited them next? Would they have the courage to face the challenges that inevitably loomed ahead? Ethan stood in the middle of the energetic chaos, his heart still racing from the laughter that echoed around him. The sight of students eagerly dipping their wands into the soapy solution, their faces illuminated by joy, helped peel away layers of worry. But the fleeting thought of those who remained distant flickered in the back of his mind. He could feel the weight of loneliness hovering even amidst the bubbles and cheers. Suddenly, a new face appeared in the doorway, a woman dressed in the gentle blues of a uniform, pushing a cart filled with cleaning supplies. Her name tag read Maria, and she stilled for a moment, taking in the scene. Ethan watched her as her eyes widened in surprise. It was impossible not to notice the way her shoulders relaxed as she saw the joy being shared. Hey, everyone! Someone shouted, breaking through the buzz. This is Maria. Let us show her what we're doing. Ethan's heart raced. Bringing in Maria felt like a challenge, but it also felt like the right step. He stepped forward to introduce her. You should join us, Maria. We're making bubbles and having fun. Everyone is welcome. At first, she seemed hesitant, darting a quick glance around the room at the smiling, carefree faces. But then, as though struck by the magic in the air, she hesitantly approached. Can I try? She asked, her voice laced with a blend of apprehension and hope. The room became still, all eyes on her as though the energy hung on her response. Yes, Ethan exclaimed, smiling wider than he thought possible. Absolutely. He handed her a wand, and the students surrounded her, clapping and encouraging her to take a dip in the soapy mixture. With a deep breath, Maria immersed the wand. She drew it out, then gave a gentle blow. A huge, shimmering bubble floated upwards, catching the light and sparkling like a prism. Cheers erupted, and her face broke into the broadest grin Ethan had seen. There was something about the moment, the bubbling joy, the blossoming connections that felt meaningful. As Maria continued to release more bubbles into the air, laughter bubbled up with every twist and turn of the wand. Soon, she became the heart of the festivity, her laughter infectious amidst the cheers of her newfound audience. Ethan glanced at Alice, their eyes locking for a moment. It was in that brief exchange that he saw a shared understanding between them, not just about encouraging others to join, but the power humans have to uplift each other. As the laughter continued, Ethan couldn't shake off the deeper realization settling in his chest. A thought, simple yet immense, filled his mind. Kindness doesn't just begin with grand gestures. It grows in these small moments when people are willing to invite each other in. Just then, something strange happened. Maria turned to the students and paused. You know, she said softly, I clean this building every day, and I often feel like I'm invisible. But today, you all have seen me. Thank you. Her voice quivered slightly, evident tears glistening in her eyes. Ethan felt something stir within him. He had not only witnessed kindness today, he was part of something bigger. But as the celebration continued, another realization loomed while they welcomed Maria's spirit. There were countless others like her whose stories might still remain unheard. The crowd cheered, but the energy shifted ever so slightly. Ethan's vision drifted to the corners of the room. A few students still lingered at the edges, watching the celebration unfold but hesitant to join. "Hey!" he shouted, his heart race pushing him forward again. "Let us keep the fun going. Anyone who has tea joined, come and grab a bubble wand." The invitation hung in the air, a call to action, to not allow anyone to be left behind. Yet, as he scanned the audience for signs of moving bodies, a sudden thread of dread tightened in his gut. Would there be enough room for everyone in their budding community? Uncertainty drifted back like a shadow, and he felt it pressing against the joy surrounding him. Would they rise to the challenge and embrace everyone even though still hiding in the shadows? As bubbles floated around like dreams, Ethan couldn't shake the questions circling in his mind. The celebration felt fragile, and he knew the deeper journey of connection had just begun. Ethan's heart pounded as he stood there, scanning the room for movement. The laughter, the bright colors of soap bubbles dancing midair, felt like a fragile dream, teetering on the edge of reality. He was aware of the students grouped in clusters, some sparkling with excitement while others remained still, as if encased in invisible barriers. In that moment, a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. Would they really join? Were they going to burst through their own bubbles of uncertainty? He looked up at Maria, who was still basking in the revelry, yet he caught a glimpse of the wistfulness in her eyes. She was full of joy, but there was also a lingering sense of hope that more could be included. "Why don't you go over and ask them to join?" Maria suggested gently, noticing Ethan's hesitation. He felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. It wasn't just that she had joined in, it was how her spirit had lifted all of them. "You're right," he said, taking a deep breath. "I'll try." Encouraged, Ethan strode towards the uncomfortable cluster of students hovering at the back. They were watching, yet stood like statues, listening but not engaging. A boy with dark curls met his gaze, eyes wide but filled with uncertainty. "Hey there," Ethan called out, his voice steadying as he approached. "We're having so much fun. We've even got a bubble creator right here." He gestured back to Maria, who was amidst a flurry of laughter, bubbles swirling around her. "Why don't you come and give it a shot?" The boy glanced at his friends, a hint of longing in his eyes. "It looks fun, but what if we're not good at it?" "Good at it? You don't have to be," Ethan replied, his heart swelling. "It's just about having a good laugh together. We're all cheering for each other. Please come join us." The boy looked at his friends again, still hesitant but with a glimmer of interest. One by one, the group exchanged whispers. Ethan felt impatience claw at him. What would it take for them to step forward? Meanwhile, the mood shifted again. The students who had been celebrating started directing their energy towards the hesitant group, cheering them on as if they were all in this together. "Simon, don't miss out. We're all friends here." Ethan watched, hope igniting in his chest as the dark-haired boy began to stand. He took a breath, then waved his friends to follow. As they made their way to the bubbling frenzy, a cheer erupted from the crowd, his heart quickened with excitement. It was happening. One by one, the shy students approached the soapy mixture. They picked up wands, their earlier fears melting away like the sunlight through delicate bubbles. The sound of laughter grew louder, filling the air with sweetness. Maria looked back at Ethan, her eyes glimmering with pride. The vision of community was unfolding right before them. Each new face added a layer of warmth to the gathering, blending their stories with one another, weaving a tapestry of connection. But the corner of his mind still nagged. Would they keep this momentum? Would the joy they found today stay alive tomorrow? As more joined the festivity, the energy escalated, and Ethan imagined all the hidden stories waiting to be discovered. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. "All right," he bellowed, lifting his wand to the skies. "Let us make this the biggest bubble celebration ever." Cheers erupted anew, but as Ethan looked around, A single figure caught his eye. One student still clung to the back, face masked by uncertainty. With every cheer, their gaze shifted, a battle raging between wanting to join and fear of rejection. Ethan felt his heart race again. How could he reach them? Take a chance, he called, hoping his voice would penetrate the walls of doubt. You belong with us. Their eyes locked, and in that brief moment, Ethan sensed that a crucial turning point lay ahead. Would he find a way to include this last soul? As the excitement surged around him, he knew his journey to weave more hearts into this community had only just begun. What if this moment propelled them all towards greater understanding and connection? Would the power of compassion break down those final barriers? Ethan's eyes were locked on the lone student, a girl with blonde hair pulled into a tight ponytail. She wore a hoodie that engulfed her slight frame, an invisible shield against the vibrant atmosphere swarming around her. Her fingers fiddled nervously with the hem, betraying a sense of anxiety that mirrored the stillness she embodied. Hey you! Ethan called, his voice softer this time, filled with empathy. What's your name? She hesitated, glancing at him, then at the crowd, as if weighing her next words carefully. Lily, came the quiet reply, almost lost in the melody of laughter and cheers dancing through the air. Lily! Ethan exclaimed, a smile breaking across his face. We'd love for you to join us. It's just bubbles and fun. No pressure. The girl's eyes flickered with uncertainty, and for a moment, he thought he saw a hint of hesitation transform into curiosity. She took a tentative step forward, but quickly looked back to the safety of her friends, who remained engrossed in their mini-celebration, a distant world in her bubble of doubt. Maria approached Ethan, sensing the moment. Lily, she said warmly. Look, we've all started from the same place, just wanting to enjoy this day. Why don't you come try it? It's really about being together, not about being good at anything. The words wrapped around Lily like a comforting blanket, and the shift in her expression caught Ethan's breath. There was a spark, a flicker of possibility. But then it was gone. She retreated slightly, biting her lip as if the whole idea still felt too risky. It's okay, Ethan reassured her. We can make the biggest bubble together, and believe me, the more, the merrier. There's no judgment here, only fun and friendship. The other kids, no longer focused on themselves, began chanting encouragements. Come on, Lily. We're waiting for you. Their voices filled the space like the bubbles that drifted above, light and playful, inviting her eye. And in that moment, Ethan saw it, the hesitance crumbling, like fragile glass under pressure. She took another step toward the group, and he felt his heart race with anticipation. Ethan glanced around. The laughter, the brightness, it became a shared heartbeat, urging Lily to trust in it. Ethan took a deep breath, raised his wand high, and burst a bubble dramatically. Look, even the bubbles have their own stories. They don't care about the perfect shape or size, they just want to float in the air and be free. Lily laughed, her expression thawing for the first time. It was a small sound, a spark ignited from within. See? Maria beamed, her excitement contagious. That's exactly it. Just a bit of mess and wonder. Moments later, with everyone rooting for her, Lily stepped forward, wand in hand. The cheers crescendoed as she dipped it into the soapy mixture, clumsily lifting it with a touch of wonder. The tip of her wand swirled, and once she blew gently, a cascade of bubbles flowed into the air, glistening like tiny stars. Ethan felt overwhelmed with joy as smiles spread across the faces of those around her. A ripple of connection merging as they soaked in this magical moment together. Lily giggled, her laughter now dancing among the others, a sound that echoed with newfound freedom. Yet as the celebration continued around him, a flicker of worry crept into Ethan's mind again. Was this just a fleeting moment? Would they find a way to maintain this connection beyond the bubbles? Somewhere in the distance, he spotted someone lingering at the edge of the fun. Another student. Would they join too? Ethan knew then that their journey wasn't just about bubbles. It was about building a tapestry, a network of shared stories and unbreakable bonds. But would they be strong enough to withstand the trials ahead? As Lily beamed, her face illuminated by the shared joy, Ethan understood they were on the brink of something greater. All they needed was to keep reaching out, keep popping those bubbles of doubt. Would they make this community last? Would others find their way in? The excitement pulsed around him, and Ethan felt the urgency swell. What if this was just the start of their transformation? What would it take to bring everyone into the fold? Ethan's thoughts raced as he watched Lily's laughter twinkle in the air like the bubbles floating overhead. Each moment felt precious, bursting with a hopeful energy that made him believe they could create something lasting. But the sight of the other student still loitering at the edge caught his attention again. She had dark hair cascading down her shoulders, arms wrapped tightly around her own waist, keeping the world at bay. Ethan's heart sank. What was stopping her from joining the joy just like Lily had? Hey, look! He pointed to the bursts of shimmering color. Bubbles are magic. They remind us that being light and free is all we need sometimes. Lily glanced to where he was pointing, and her eyes widened in delight. He hoped she would inspire that girl on the edges, too. Ethan waved his wand again, and a flurry of bubbles streamed from his tip, like little wishes traipsing through the air toward the hesitant girl. His own excitement bubbled up. He stepped closer to her. "What about you?" he called out, his voice full of encouragement, though he felt nerves edge into his chest. "You can create your own magic. Join us." The girl hesitated, her frown deepening as she weighed the invitation. "Come on," Maria added. "We're all just having fun. No one will judge." As they beckoned her, the girl shifted her weight. Ethan could see the internal battle twist her features. He remembered the loneliness he felt when he first had stepped into a new school. "There are no rules here except the ones you want to make. No one is an outsider." His voice was steady, filled with the passion to bring her into the fold. "Let the bubbles take away the worries. Just step into this moment with us." The hesitant girl inhaled a shaky breath, and for a fleeting second, the bubble of isolation surrounding her seemed to wobble. Like a pendulum, her gaze swung from Ethan's open smile to the group behind him, children laughing, sharing, and living in the moment. Suddenly, with a flicker of bravery igniting in her eyes, she took a step forward. Ethan's heart pounded with anticipation. Would she join? In the collision of hope and fear in that instant, the world hushed, holding its breath. Just then, Lily's infectious laughter rang out again, breaking the silence. The sound danced in the air like electric joy. It lit the gathering like a torch in the dark, illuminating the way for the girl. She blinked rapidly, torn but intrigued, as if the sound awakened something deep within her. "Bubbles don't have to be perfect," Lily called out encouragingly. "They only need to be." The words reached the girl. It was like a spark igniting a forgotten flame. Tentatively, she stepped past the barrier of doubt. Her fingers brushed the wand laid out before her. As she dipped it into the soapy mixture, a rush of medical warmth filled Ethan's chest. With a burst of courage, she blew gently, and bubbles floated into the air with an unexpected grace, glistening in the sunlight. A few fluttered toward Lily and broke beautifully, sending splashes of color into the crowd. Laughter erupted again, wrapping around them like an embrace. Ethan felt the weight of worry lift slightly, but shadows lurked. As the celebration swirled around him, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were only on the cusp of something bigger. He turned back to the group, taking in their laughter and camaraderie, but also spotting a few more faces that remained wary. This growing connection felt fragile, like the bubbles they were creating. Gazing into the eyes of the new girl, now smiling openly, Ethan realized they had to keep making room for others. But would they be brave enough to reach out to the ones still standing alone? Just as he pondered, a ripple of unease crept into the laughter. A whisper of doubt flickered. Was this joy too fragile to last? The scent of soap and sweetness clung in the air, mingling with something heavier. Could they hold on to this shared moment, or would the weight of isolation pull them back into their shells? As he watched the bubbles rise, he knew a decision loomed. Would they forge ahead into the unknown or retreat back to safety? Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the urgency rise again. What new challenges awaited them? The sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the community center. The laughter and cheers mixed with the breeze carried a familiar warmth, but Ethan felt a knot tightening in his stomach. More students still lingered on the outskirts, their faces reflecting uncertainty and restraint. They were missing out, just waiting for a glimmer of invitation to join in the magic. Ethan turned to Alice, who stood beside him, her warmth radiating like the golden sunset. "We need to reach out to everyone," he said, the determination breaking free from his earlier worries. "We can't let anyone feel alone, not today." Alice nodded, her eyes shining bright. "You're right. Kindness is about inclusion. Let us go." They made a beeline for the shy students huddled together. Each step echoed with hope as he called out to them, "Hey, everyone. We're making more bubbles, come join us. There's room for everyone in our fun." Some glances turned his way, tentative and curious. The words hung there, a bridge waiting to be crossed. Ethan felt his heartbeat quicken as he took an extra step closer. Life's too short to stay on the sidelines. We're all here to lift each other up. Just be yourselves. Alice chimed in, her voice a soft beacon. "Everyone's welcome. You have something special to offer, just like these bubbles." A flicker of hesitation turned into sparkles of interest as a few students looked towards the laughter, their eyes slowly lighting up with intrigue. With each beckoning gesture, Ethan watched their demure expressions soften. Those lurking on the edges began to inch closer. "See? Isn't it fun?" Ethan smiled wide, drawing the connection between their growing community and the bubbling enchantment. Encouraged by her contagious enthusiasm, more kids summoned their courage and began to migrate toward the celebration. "You can do this," he cheered, the rhythm of laughter amplifying as they invited each other into their little world of wonder. The shy students finally stepped into the circle, their laughter mixing with the others as they picked up wands, dipping into soapy joy. "Yes!" Alice shouted, sweeping her arms wide. "Look at this bubbles float, they dance, just like our spirit should. But it takes all of us to make it happen." The warmth of camaraderie wrapped around them, creating a bond that felt real. One by one, the shy students began to share stories of their own, fragile and vulnerable, yet bursting with potential. With each returned smile, a little spark jumped from heart to heart, weaving an invisible thread. Ethan turned to Maria, who was watching with teary eyes, pride evident on her sparkling face. "Did you ever think this could happen?" he asked, filled with awe at the scene unfolding around them. "Never in my wildest dreams," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. "But look, Hope dances here." A moment later, the quiet girl with dark hair who first caught Ethan's eye stepped forward, throwing back her shoulders. "I want to help," she declared, her voice shaky yet clear, eyes bright and alive with newfound courage. "Yes," Ethan responded, heart swelling. "What can you do?" "We can put together a kindness project. Something more than just this day. Maybe a mural or a newsletter." Her voice grew stronger as she spoke, and smiles of agreement spread through the crowd. "Let us do it. Let us carry this magic beyond today," Ethan said, excitement soaring. The idea took root, blooming with potential as the students huddled together, exchanging ideas and hopes. As they brainstormed, the connection deepened, uniting the kids from all backgrounds. There, amidst the bubbles and laughter, new alliances formed, and burdens felt lighter. All fears seemed to fade away, crushed under the joyous weight of community. Ethan basked in the warmth of it all, energy swirling around like a kaleidoscope of dreams. He turned to Alice, beaming with pride. "We did it. We really did." Alice nodded, her eyes shimmering with tears. "This is the power of kindness," she whispered back. "And it starts with each one of us." With their commitment to continue the kindness challenge along with involving each other, Ethan felt a rush of joy surge through him. Transformation was palpable, tangible in the swell of returning friendships and the forging of new ones. It wasn't just the merging of laughter and joy, it was creating a foundation that would last. As the crowd raised their bubble wands one last time, their voices united in a chorus of hope. "Together, we will make this community bright." Ethan looked out over all of them, the sweet smiles reflecting the magic they had all discovered. This was just the beginning. He felt a thrill of determination course through him. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they could face them together. Encouraged by the spirit flowing through the room, Ethan found himself calling out, "Remember, don't let this be just today. Pay it forward. Show kindness wherever you go." And as the colorful bubbles floated up into the sky, Ethan understood kindness would be the thread binding them, woven through laughter, shared stories, and acts of compassion. They were not just making bubbles, they were breaking barriers and lifting each other higher. In that moment, Ethan knew that this transformation was not just personal, it would ripple outwards, leading into an extraordinary future. Together, they would float through life, unburdened by past shadows, living freely in the light of kindness. So here's the message you have to hear. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below about your reactions and feelings about this beautiful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this. The power of kindness needs to be spread far and wide. Let's keep it alive.